Hey you, so in this video, discipline when stacking precious metals, I'm going to be going over exactly that. This is a follow-up from the video that I just released, and that was how much precious metals is enough. And I had a few individuals comment that I was a little out of touch of reality when I gave some of those numbers, as the average individual in the UK, I'm sure worldwide could also relate to this, is in debt. You know, they're basically drowning in debt and don't have enough funds or even enough money to last them to the end of the month. So the numbers I gave was too high or ridiculously unachievable. So I just wanted to touch upon disciplines that individuals put in place when they're stacking precious metals, and wanted some comments from you guys on some of the disciplines that you've put in place to help you stack more precious metals, or even just stacking precious metals in general. I mean, lots of people, as I displayed this toned horse Privy Britannia, have spoke on how once they got into stacking precious metals, it enabled them to really manage their money a lot better. As before then, they was just spunking their cash. You know, they never really looked at it like that. And I know individuals very close to me with that same mentality. You know, I've heard individuals tell me money's there to be spent, and that's exactly what they do. But when I say a discipline is involved, I mean, when I'm referring to the numbers or even stacking precious metals in general, you need to understand it's real easy to say, look, you can save 10 or 1,000, but the average individual, stacking precious metals in general may not be for everybody. A lot of decisions that I've made in life, I was only able to achieve because of decisions that I made earlier on in life. Now, I can look at that and say, even choosing to stack precious metals, say 10, 15 years down the line from now, I can be looking back and be in a fantastic situation and say, you know, thank goodness I chose to stack precious metals. That's why I'm in such a great position. Some people, and this is what I ended up saying back to a lot of the people that I mentioned, and especially those people in that situation. Now, I'm only going to speak on the individuals I know in that type of situation. When I say situation, I mean individuals that have a lot of debt, damn near drowning in debt, and are unable to stack precious metals. What I ended up saying was that these individuals normally have horrendous money management skills, you know, and that's referring to the individuals that I personally know. I know people from all walks of life. A lot of the times, some of the individuals I know, for example, may have, you know, it's rare that I've found an individual, especially in this country, that has no money. You know, to be in debt, you need to have got yourself into debt. A lot of people I know in debt didn't have a situation where they had a fantastic business and then they leveraged or borrowed money and it went downhill from there, and then they're just stuck in the mud. A lot of people just make bad choices moving through, and we all do ultimately. I mean, before I was good at managing money, I was horrendous. So I was one of those people. I personally feel like to be able to manage money good, you first need to know how to spunk it bad, you know, and I've definitely been there. But I learned from my mistakes. I didn't want to be in that position, and I've worked my way out of it. I know individuals that are comfortable in that position. You know, for instance, I had a friend that recently came to me, his new business venture, and he wanted to borrow a large amount of money, you know, double digits. But at the same time, he was wearing a very nice luxury watch. And I mentioned to him, well, you know, have you ever considered selling one of your watches? And he was disgusted when I mentioned that. Now, the way I see it is he was more than willing to risk somebody else's money, and he's obviously in a situation where he can't get no loans or nothing out. But he's not willing to put his own neck on the line and put up some of his own collateral. So I look at that, and that's a prime example of what I'm saying. A lot of these individuals are just very bad at managing money, or they've put themselves in a situation. And if that's not the case, you know, you're just from a background where, or you just cannot get a job. I also know individuals there, you know, I know individuals overqualified for jobs that they're applying for, but just cannot get the job, be it their name or just the current situation in the job market right now. Then I know of individuals that have a pretty decent job but still have terrible money management. And what I was saying is that it all boils down to money management for individuals. Key point here, that can stack precious metals. It's all well and good me saying, you know, stack 1,000 ounces of silver, everybody can do it. But majority of the people can't. This is only going to apply to those individuals that can. and they can make tweaks. We all make certain tweaks. Some of the disciplines that I've put in since I've been stacking precious metals is cutting back on a lot of the things that, be it takeaways, pretty decent takeaways in the UK, but a lot of time I've seen quality drop. So, it'll be a lot more cooking for my own personal meals, be it lunch or breakfast if I don't get that at home. And, choices like that. Me personally, I'm not into the high-end fashion, whether it be fancy snazzy shoes or £300 pairs of jeans or big lardy-dardy suits and the likes of now, or even fast motors, cars. I'm not saying an individual should live like a hermit. By all means, treat yourself. If you want something, you should have it. But understand, is it a good choice that you're making from the rich dad, poor dad? Are you really putting money into a liability or an asset? I know individuals that have sold precious metals to buy vehicles, and looking at how bad the vehicles depreciated, they would have been better off holding their precious metals. So it's all boils down to a certain type of individual, and it's not for everybody in the end of the day. Some individuals will and some individuals won't, but all those that do tend to take it up understand the discipline and put it in place. So in this video, as I've mentioned, is for individuals to put in the comments some of the disciplines that they've implied and put in place that helps them to stack more precious metals, or it's helped them stacking metals in general as a lifestyle. And that's what it's going to be moving forward for a lot of individuals. So discipline is definitely needed and required when you're stacking precious metals. Whether you're cutting back on something, whether you pick something up in the past and you would have had, you wouldn't have blinked an eye at spunking the cash on it, whereas now, and this applies to all facets of life. I'm just focusing on precious metals because that's what it is right now. In the end of the day, as I've mentioned in the past, people become their own personal financial advisors when they're picking up precious metals against spot price and the likes of, and I've said it makes me chuckle because the shirt on their back, the raw materials, whether it be the cotton or the silks, you don't see individuals then start comparing like, hey, this cotton could be purchased at a fraction of the price. I could get it manufactured myself. Why am I paying $20 or £25 for this shirt when in raw material it costs down there £4? People don't do that. So unless you're really applying that to every aspect of your life, and a lot of individuals don't, but once you start implying the disciplines when it comes to stacking, you start picking certain things up and realizing, do I really need this? People have done all types of things to shave off, and I think that's one of the first things that you could really do to help you stack. Once you have a good, smart sense and money management and appreciation, and like I said, we've all been there, then you're able to go ahead and start making the right choices when it comes to stacking and personally putting it into your own personal insurance. And that's what this ultimately is. So putting that question back out there, stacking isn't for everybody, straight off the bat. It's not like, hey, anybody and everybody go and do it. If you know an individual, and we all do know those types of individuals that just have, I know individuals drowning in debt and they have horrendous money management skills. And literally, they have the fancy trinkets, the big fancy car, just the things that they spent cash on, the expensive clothing and shoes, and they are literally drowning in debt. They're living in the moment, and I don't think they're paying attention to these things. It's that same mindset there that leaves individuals in the bad position. So it's these individuals really should be considering a whole new way of thinking before they're even looking at stacking precious metals. It's real easy to see a video and see some gold coins and think, oh, I hate you, I'm jealous. But it takes a lot of discipline behind getting all of that. I definitely was not born with no silver spoon in my mouth. I had to work real hard for what I've got, and I've made many, many, many mistakes in life, but I tend to learn from my mistakes. It can take long, it can be short, but I do learn from them. I'm not one of those individuals that keeps on knocking back and making the same mistakes. And ultimately, one of the main things that an individual can do when it comes to putting some discipline in their life is learning to listen to the right voice within them. And the right voice is, we all have those choices. Anything you do it from listening to your own voice. And if it works out to be a bad decision, that's the voice you need to start ignoring. And when you do a right one, that's the voice you need to start listening to more. So these are just a few of the things that I've put forward into discipline when it comes to stacking precious metals. Ultimately, as a lot of people have mentioned, you need to first start learning how to make the smarter choices. You know, that can be cutting down on something. I'm not a big sports fan, so when I have my Sky or cable subscription, it's not fully loaded to the brim. I have the kids channels, and then, you know, your National Geographic and Discovery and the likes of is all I really watch. I know individuals that down there, it's shocking, you know, the packages they have, the fancy snazzy clothing they have. When sales are on, they're out in full force buying stuff that they never really needed, but, you know, they're just stocking up on it. All boils down to these smart choices. Some of the fantastic choices, individuals can cut down on gym membership. And at one point I was down there paying £85-90 a month. You know, ultimately, if you want to be looking fantastic, you should be focusing on your body. But if you're not using 90% of the equipment in the gym, you know, some walking and calisthenics is all you need. But there's many ways, and this isn't going to be one of those videos where I start giving you option and ways. I mean, ultimately, I just want to mention that the right way of thinking is the best choice, and stacking is not for everybody. So if I put a number out there, it's not like, hey, yo, you mister, go out there, you can do it. It's just going to take you a longer time flipping burgers. No, it's not for everybody. But for those that it is for, you'll realize that they've put in some type of discipline in life that enables them to do that, and they're not making choices or spunking cash recklessly. So hate or love it, guys, be fantastic to know what you guys do when it comes to putting discipline in when you're stacking precious metals. Don't forget to come and follow me on the links that I've left in the description. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll catch you guys on the rebound.